have that spike. And it's just like, oh, if that had just been a little bit sooner. And I talked about it before, how everybody's kind of split on these teams, right? It's like Fusion has a lot of people that people like. Coast has a lot of players people like. And it's like, everybody's like, I kind of want this guy to win, but with these guys and stuff, it's like...
Right.
It's kind of like you could make like a...
You got a lot of fan favorites.
Yeah,
I mean, the good thing is you're going to see both teams either way. The Challenger Series, we're going to have the 2 teams here, Final 5, and the loser of this series auto-qualify anyway. You're seeing right away the priorities changing very rapidly here as you get farther into the series. These teams learn more about each other. The first pick, Rumble, I think exactly the right choice here. The Lucian over the Corki as well for MASH. I think also very smart.
Yeah, he went 11-1 and 15 on Lucian that game. And actually, Jesiz on Orianna did the most damage because he was just doing AoE damage the entire time. And it's really the positioning of these AD carries. It just seems so like tug of war-ish, where like they both can't be good at the same time. It's like one guy's having a good game, the other one's having a terrible game.
Yeah.
And it just swaps. It's like they both can't have a great game position-wise at the same time.
They're always in direct opposition to one another, but we're going to see who then makes a statement here this time around. Lee Sin is up. Does Nintendude want it? The answer seems to be yes. Lissandra was banned away by Fusion. They had picked it last game, didn't have much success. They seem to respect that champion a whole heck of a lot. Maokai on the table for Cris if he wants it one more time. Or will he pick something we haven't yet seen in this series? Jesiz, his Orianna, his Xerath also available.
And the Xerath was banned last game, but instead they want to get rid of the disengaged champion of Janna.
The question is, what kind of team comp comes through? Fusion definitely poised for a mid-game power spike. They've picked the Trinity Force AD carry. They've got Rumble. Lee Sin is great at pretty much all stages of the game before 30 minutes. You don't even have to outplay that hard to get much out of it. The Janna away as well should remove some of the extra power that Sheep can give the team. Cris, what does he want to face MakNooN with? It is going to be Irelia here. And Jesiz will save his mid lane pick for last.
So he's going to go with a very item-dependent, level-dependent champion here up against Rumble in that top lane. And he might get lane swapped on. And Rumble fares a little bit better, a lot better in lane swaps, because he just needs about one item to be effective in team fights. Whereas Irelia, she does need one item, but it's a much more expensive one.
It is, and the thing is, if Irelia does get ahead though, she takes a game over more than almost any other top laner that I've seen. Just becomes unkillable, tanks out everybody, hits the item spikes, hits the levels sooner, and life is painful. Morgana will come in to try to beat up Thresh. We saw that matchup back in game 1, and that worked well for Fusion. And the Syndra now for HuHi, so very, very early game focused. Fusion looking to win every single lane and win those 8 to 12 minute team fights around Dragon.
Yeah, we haven't seen HuHi Syndra in a while. He played it, I think, the other day, but it was banned out 4 out of the 5 games in the final 5 set against him, and then that last game he ended up picking LeBlanc. So his Syndra is prioritizing it now as a blind pick.
And Jesiz goes back to Ziggs here saying, look, I could have played Xerath again. I could have played Orianna again. I want Ziggs here in this matchup. Has a lot of damage to lay down into an AoE team fight. Yep. It's a lot of target softening if Cris is going to clean up on Irelia.
He wants to be able to deal a whole lot of damage towards the dragon, and also Ziggs is one of the best champions at zoning people away with the explosive minefield and the satchel charge. So you can just zone off and bottleneck people or divide teams. So Jesiz is looking for that. He did have really good showings on Ziggs back when he was in the EU LCS. His last showing on it the other day, he went something like 0, 6, and 5 on that champion. It was not a good performance by him. But hopefully for him, he can turn it around. We've seen a lot of turnaround performances today. Gleeb really stepping up. MASH stepping up this series for like the first time in the tournament.
But we're going to need to see Gleeb step up here, though. His last 2 games were very unimpressive. And, you know, it's just on how well you play any given day. The fact that these guys are 2-2 in the series means how you perform, how you play is going to dictate who wins that game. We obviously know both teams can win. It's up to which team will. Coast on your screen right here. Impaler actually messaged me right before the game. He's like, well, this is a series now. And he said, I'm nervous.
Yeah, they look nervous.
Yeah, they are. The thing is, they are now 1 game away from this one. And this is a player we've seen also, Impaler specifically, have ups and downs. He came into the tournament on Friday feeling ill. He was actually throwing up before the matches. had kind of a rough Friday. Saturday was explosive. His last 2 games been freaking ridiculous, and maybe he can keep carrying the team. Guys, if you want to join the conversation before we get our game started, at LOL Esports, hashtag LCS expansion. But the game is underway here. Game 5 winner joins the North American LCS in Spring Split 2015. 2-2 is the score. We're going to have a new pro team within the hour.
Hopefully it's not an 80-minute game.
Hashtag it's the dream.
I think this game is going to be decided in the mid game, just based on the compositions. But they could play safe. A lot of things we see in best of 5s that make it all the way to that 5th game is both teams don't want to make mistakes and play it safe. Like right off the bat here, boom, boom, wards. We're not going to see something like a gather up invade immediately. Everybody's just doing line of scrimmage. You don't want to be the dude who loses your team the game because you gave up first blood at 1 minute 20 seconds. So everybody is playing defensively in this match.
Nien was in the early trade in the bot lane against Mash. Smart, doesn't use his potion, wouldn't need to. Sheep, ooh, 5 gold to Gleeb. Oh, gets hooked. Not too much else to be done, though. 3 gold if you auto-attack him, bro. Actually, it's 8.
Are we counting gold? Oh!
Oh, more gold by Coast. They're winning this war. Coast are 5 gold ahead right now.
And that's it. That's going to put them on tilt. Oh, no.
Hey, man, it's a lead.
No.
It is a lead. This invade is spotted, though. A trinket ward by Nintendu sees that Mash and Sheep have gone down towards the bottom lane. It will see them leave. They can guess that was probably warded. In fact, they ping right where the ward was. The fact that they see them leave means, okay, this brush is safe. He has nothing to worry about here, but he does want to hide from where that ward would see him. Trinkets don't see very far.
They're going for Gromp. They placed a ward so that they can see Fusion doing Krugs, and they're going to do Gromp themselves.
Okay, we haven't seen this at all this series, but yeah, this is actually really strong at 4.20. You go for the early sort of kills, and no, okay, Fusion doing it differently. They're going to take just the little one and not miss any gold or XP in lane. They don't lose a potion either. Now, Sheep and Mash, they're going to share experience on this. So they're going to get level 2 off the first wave. That said, actually, I take that back because they're going to miss 2 melees here. They're out of XP. No, actually, for only one of them. I don't know what that does actually to your level up pacing when you miss 1 minion. They would have otherwise gotten it off this wave.
It'll still be this wave, I believe. Off the last minion?
Off this caster? You're right. Okay, you miss 1 melee, and you take that camp. You get level 2 off the first wave total. Sheep looks for the hook. Of course, level 2 lead, you can see that. And that's, I think, the right way to do it, is you share XP, because level 2 support is so valuable. Gleeb getting jumped on, you can see the value of that level 2. The Flame made that one so powerful.
Yeah, he has to make up for it, though, because he used so many potions on the Gromp.
Yeah.
So you have to apply the pressure, you have to push this level 2, and you have to get something for it.
And you did.
And he did. He got potions from Gleeb.
You do also get that like 70-ish gold lead on your AD carry because of that, so he can actually afford 2 more potions later on for that BF sword 1 wave sooner, roughly. We'll see, though, they do have asymmetric item builds. It depends on who can force the better recall timing. Nintendude fighting his red buff. Impaler fighting the wolves already has just the red on himself, actually, a protracted, extended, I guess, jungle path. Wolves dead. He's going to recall before blue.
Get his Trailblazer, do blue, and then possibly gank. We will see, whereas Nintendude already has both of his buffs ticking on him.
He's just farming even more. He's full cleared almost the entire jungle.
That's the thing, too, with this new jungle, is if you do your red and then you end up having to back, you lose a lot of that time that you could use with the red on you because you had to walk back to lane.
But you're going to back at least once anyway. HuHi looking for something nice. Bind on his Sheep. Will they keep going? Yes, they will. Nice flash. He realized the stun was coming. That ward was there. Summoner spell lost. But it does mean a wave missed for HuHi, so if he can make it worth it by punishing bottom lane more, otherwise he gets level 6 after Jesiz, doesn't have nearly as much pressure. That could be a problem. We have to see if it pans out that way.
That bottom lane, though, and like you said, no flash. The roams from HuHi are something that he hasn't been on a lot of champions this series that allow him to do it effectively. When he's on like Ezreal, he can't pull off the types of roams that he likes to. When he was on LeBlanc, he had a game where he had a decent start, but then it just fell off. And in Syndra, he's got a lot of squishy targets here in this bottom half of the team to try and focus down. The fact that he can roam very early on like that, a level 4 roam, is crazy.
Yeah, but this is the player. This is the types of moves he makes, and it's actually something we didn't see very much of last game.
Yep.
In Game 4, I don't even remember the champion he
Ezreal.
played. Yeah, right. Yeah, he just sat there in lane and kind of played the laning phase Jesiz wanted. Like, it felt like kind of a waste of HuHi's talents. For the Fusion fans out there, I'm glad he's on a playmaker again.
And for the
even though he was good in lane.
MakNooN back in a 1v1.
And winning the lane, by the way. This is actually going to be a good trade for him as well. He's overheated. Cris will take a ton of damage there, and he does so.
And Cris having to burn through his potions, and MakNooN going with the Doran's shield.
Hasn't even burned a pot either.
Every game that he's been on Rumble so far, he's pretty much start Ruby Crystal potions.
That's true.
So he did this knowing that he would have the one-on-one because they saw it and they didn't lane swap it. So he went into the Irelia with this item and knew what he was going to get.
Now both junglers are around. They're aware that MakNoon's wave is going to push and Rumble is a gankable champion. He's trying to bait this one out.
Here's Lee, though.
The thing is, MakNooN is so telegraphing that his teammate is around. Like, this is so obvious right now. Impaler doesn't want part of it because they can't fight double melee inside a minion wave like this.
Wow, just the amount of bullying that he could do on that Rumble that early on and make it so, like, as a jungler, you sit there and you just think, I really want to gank this. But he, like you said, telegraphed it so much that Nintendude was there.
Dude, if Lee Sin weren't there and they just hit, that would be like the ultimate man move, but I would never risk that in Game 5.
It's the aggression of MakNooN, and also, that's the type of play he makes when he doesn't have flash up sometimes.
That's true. Punished him before in this series. Impaler Nintendude, smite. Good job, Impaler. Has word cling. In fact, there's one right in front of him, but he goes the other way through the jungle. Won't see it.
Yeah, sometimes I see people smite the Raptor, and then just to spite them, I throw down my trinket ward in front of them. Like, take that!
Yeah. Or you walk by like an aggressive pink ward that you knew was there anyway, and you're like, well, that was a useless buff. Smash clearing the wave away, though, is holding a bit of a CS lead, and he's actually going to force the recall. He's safe, though. There's no mana on HuHi. He can't do anything here. There's no way this does anything. But actually, oh no, that's so good. Sheep is there, forces the flash. Nice ducky from Jesiz.
Took me a second. It's like, nice ducky.
Yeah.
Aw.
That's what it is.
But
rubber ducky.
Man, that came to my head too, but I resisted the urge. Like, getting too old for this. I don't know how many people are actually going to get that reference, but anyway, enough. If one person gets it, it's enough.
It's enough.
I got it, so it's enough.
Great, thank you.
All right. So Sheep with the roam there. No Moby boots on him yet. He went for the Sight Stone again because he knows that the roams from HuHi are going to come out. And look at this, MakNooN already applying pressure with that Rumble because he's just winning that lane.
Beautiful stuff.
He hasn't backed yet.
Before Cris sees him, but he's got to be careful. He's like in the middle of 3 enemy champions.
MakNooN, what are you doing?
He's got friends coming in a little bit. Thing is, Equalizer does so much damage right now. He's like reasonably safe.
Yeah.
Red buff steal. It's on a ward though.
It's already, is it hard leashed yet? Yeah, it's hard leashed.
Yeah, but they're pulling it back.
No, it's going to keep going back until it resets, right?
No, they're getting it like on the wrong spot.
Gotcha.
Smite battle. Nice. Picked up by Nintendude.
It looked like a hard leash. It just didn't want to be there at all.
Yeah, they got it outside the... Yeah, you're right, because it went so fast.
So MakNooN was applying pressure. His teammates were coming around. They were a little lagged behind, but Cris didn't take the opportunity to wrap around, but it was good. It was the right idea. But HuHi, at the same time, wasn't really in the best shape to actually help in terms of his mana pool.
But it was enough to threat. I mean, it's a level 6 Rumble. Like, you have to respect the fact that Equalizer will destroy you.
Especially in the jungle.
Red buff steal, blue buff grabbed. MakNooN has Haunting Guys. He's got Teleport up as well. This is all the... And Cris doesn't. This is all the makings of an uncontestable dragon.
I remember when I was talking about how Rumble needs one item to be effective and Irelia needs one item, but it's much more expensive. One item to be effective has the Haunting Guys. Yep. Rumble's pretty much like, I got Haunting Guys.
All right, power spike achieved. Let's go.
Leandri's, Haunting Guys, meh. Sword shoes.
Jinx. Not in this game.
Not. Wow.
You're going to say that, weren't we? Man, we are way too on the same page here.
You know how you dislike in others what you hate most in yourself? Just saying.
I love wordplay in myself. So, I guess I like you somewhat?
That was the question?
I mean, judging by your explanation, I guess I have to now.
But we see the junglers kind of mirroring each other here around that mid lane, trying to pay some attention to it. Like, Nintendude knows that he's spotted. Look at all these pink wards, and they're trying to collapse on him now.
Oh.
Yes,
the Q down, he can ult. Oh, he juked it. He kicked him back into Jesiz, but he's low on health.
No, the rest of his team is there.
Good equalizer. Out they go. The duck, he puts him over the wall. Pink ward defensively. Equalizer down, but a couple of lost health bars. Jess is forced to flash out. This is control over Dragon.
And the blue buff.
Yeah, you're right.
They're getting all of these buffs. This could be a jungle spawn that Impaler didn't get a single buff from.
Ooh, wow. Yep, there we go. Nice try on the hook. Ziggs ult does not stop anything. There's very few attempts to smite, very few abilities to steal this. But Fusion do not want to risk going for Dragon and getting stabbed.
Yeah, I like the fact that he used the culling at max range there to just try and get some damage on them so that it would dissuade them from doing Dragon.
And it did so. So Summoner Spell lead and buff lead so far for Fusion, but they are being much more hesitant in their plays. The Dragons have backfired on them repeatedly, and Fusion have learned that lesson, despite the fact they still have that Rumble and Teleport advantage, but 30 seconds till Cris has his back. He's going to recall. He wants to buy up, and he says, okay, TP's available. This is my timing. I want to make sure I have items if I do TP to Dragon. No blue buff on Jesiz makes his life hard.
Back to the scene of the crime.
He walks right by a ward, though, so not much for Nintendo to do. He's going to...
He's got to shove him in because he knows that Jesiz wants to back, and HuHi doesn't have mana either.
And this could be then... No, there's no mana on HuHi. He has to recall, yeah.
It's just to help your mid laner. A lot of junglers are kind of relegated to doing that, and mid laner's like, well, he wants to back, I want to back, help me shove this wave so that I can back like 5 seconds sooner than him, because he still has to clear the wave.
Oh, sure. It's more than 5 seconds. Like, he's all the way halfway back to base. Jesiz could have only finished a recall now. Easy minion clears.
Oh, MakNooN.
12 CS lead.
MakNooN towards mid.
Rumble ulti's back up. Jesiz does not have flash, but the Lee Sin Q misses, but that's a great lead on the equalizer. Knocks Jesiz around. Can they kill him? No, not quite.
He's so low.
Oh man, he took a lot of damage from the turret there.
He didn't get the kickoff in time. He didn't get to flash because the rubber ducky satchel charge got Jesiz away and knocked Nintendude out of range.
Raptor
stole it.
Oh, okay. It's got. TP comes in. Bot lane is the fight. Sheep might fall first, but they're going to trade back for Gleeb Glarbu. It's first blood. All 5 games going to Coast, but they trade back 1 for 1. Now Nien forced to run. Cris, no stun just yet.
1 second.
Gaining.
It's not
There's
just
the
slow.
Summoner heal used. Good damage. Forces the flash of Nien. No backup either. So it's just a clean 1 for 1. First blood advantage goes over. Both supports got the kills.
Oh. Looked like he was going to shoot it there.
Yeah. There's away a ward. Starts on Dragon, but no, he's going to take so much damage here.
Impaler.
Yeah. This is risky.
They know that MakNooN doesn't have teleport, so they're going to try this. Nintendude, he could go for the steal. He landed it.
Doesn't go for it. Red team picks up Dragon. Nice pick up there. Coast. Dragon number 1 and first blood.
Doesn't take the Q. Doesn't want to risk it. Impaler smited a little bit early, but it was Cris that got the slack.
Alright, so Team Coast looking pretty decent here.
Yeah.
Jesiz got a good recall timing. He had full mana for that one. HuHi had already himself. Top wave going to get cleared out. MakNooN forced to run away. 6 minions picked up, and some time on the turret. That said, though, Nintendo with timer on the red buff. Coast hasn't gotten buffs in like 7 minutes.
Yep.
This is good by Fusion. Problem is they're not getting anything for it. Like, the kills are still going Coast's way. They got first blood. The Dragon's still going their way. They are denying some XP from Impaler, but he's still the same level as Nintendo.
It's very frustrating, too, as a jungler when you lose those buffs that are supposed to help you gank, but he is Jarvan, so he doesn't rely on them for the most part, both in mana and in terms of, like, his red buff slow. Because he's already got a slow, he's already got a knock-up. Fairly low cooldown on those. And with Trailblazer, you don't really need the mana. You just keep smiting.
It's true. So he's going to be okay on this one. Just feels bad for Jesiz, but he's going for Athenes anyway. Now second power spike in for Rumble. Sword shoes are done. But Fusion much more hesitant to actually go for some of these hard engages. I feel like they had the opportunity to take some of these Dragons full force. Never quite happened. Uh-oh, overextension by MakNooN.
No flash.
Down he goes right away. Just full comboed.
No flash.
Yep.
He makes extremely aggressive plays with no flash. And, you know, to give him the benefit of the doubt there, that wasn't that aggressive. He was just trying to zone Cris. But instead of, like, what a typical top laner would do is just push him off of at least turret range and then get the minions himself. Because he was losing out on some minions that were just... Yeah, he's just chasing him too far. He got greedy for the damage.
Yeah. And Jarvan was in the brush. Easy Irelia stun, as I'm assuming he maxed E first, and he actually did not. It's only rank 3, so... Ooh, bot lane fight though. Flash in by Gleeb, finds the exhaust, finds the ulti. They're just gonna go for Sheep on this one though. 2-man stun lands anyway. Oh, that blind! Gleeb, that was amazing! 2 kills in the bot lane, if they land it, and they do.
Gleeb,
Beautiful.
Stepping up this game. He's had a mixed performance here at this expansion tournament. But that right there, setting up Nien and giving him both kills.
The hook missed. He Black Shield, flash engaged, exhausted to carry to stay in range, paced out his binding knowing they would kill Thresh. And they did it right after Nien Triforce Power Spike. So perfect.
I want to take another look at that. Because it missed, it's just, that's the go sign. Immediately takes off with it and then just swaps targets
so
there.
Good.
Trusts Nien has the damage to finish Thresh. There's no way he's getting away because he's too far. And then just target swaps. And in the meantime, HuHi gets picked off, I'm assuming, by a Thresh hook.
Down. Yeah, I assume it's a Thresh hook. I mean, Cris just roamed down, made it happen. Top lane turrets dead on both sides there. Secondary turret kill for Fusion. They did get the bottom lane outer with all that. And it means the game is still pretty close here, but a great move, of course, for Coast to try to equal some of this back. Athene's now done for Jesiz, but he is behind HuHi here.
Yeah, the fact that he's down just a little bit in CS, also in terms of his item build path, like he's lacking a little bit of AP at this moment, isn't that big. So I'm actually going to give him the fact that he's Ziggs, and I was talking last game about how important it is for wave manipulation and wave clear. And Ziggs and also Ezreal mid is one of the reasons we're seeing it more and more, is because you can just ultimate side waves and they will push for you. Yeah. And you can stop like people split pushing while you're doing Dragon, or you can make it so that a wave will continue to push while you're doing Dragon, and then just set that up.
And especially in the case of Ezreal, once you get the, in this patch, second Dragon buff on live, it's the fourth one. You actually finally kill minions with 3-shot barrage. It was always like so close, you left them with like 50 health, but the 50% damage buff actually helps you quite a bit with that.
It helps a lot of people for just the quick farming. Look at this. He has flash now.
Good equalizer by MakNooN. Can he stay alive though? Cris gets some really good damage. Nice flash. One more Q would kill him, but it's not up. 5 seconds away. The sun is up right now. MakNooN is safe. Impaler has nothing to find there. So, trade of flashes.
And there's the item spike for Cris that comes out. Talked about Trinity Force for him. This is pretty much an Irelia that had a really good game. 140 CS, the same CS as your AD carry. You weren't lane swapped on, and you're 1-0 and 2, 100% kill participation in this game. That's about as good as you can hope for on an Irelia. You usually get lane swapped on. Sometimes you have a bad lane. Sometimes people are poking you down. Sometimes you get roamed on and ganked. Like, he just had a really good game so far.
It's been great for Cris.
He's been set up for success.
He is very well set up for success. I think he's going to be a huge impact in this game. And honestly, all the carry forces of Coast are doing well. I think it's a little bit more on the shoulders of Nien than kind of normal. HuHi has yet to actually impose his will in this game. None of the roams have worked. The flash he had burned from Sheep, I don't think paid off later on in the game.
Well, speaking of imposing your will on the game, Nintendude has done nothing this game.
Also true.
Literally nothing. He has not secured them a dragon. He has not gotten them.
It's not fair. He got 2 buffs.
3 buffs. True. They've been getting some buffs off of Vision. But
good flash. Nintendude gonna get caught out. Can he kick anyone back? No spells burned in time. Sheep will get ulted, but he doesn't go down. If he had been Lee Sin kick, that would have been a kill. HuHi now is sure to die. 2 kills for Coast. And Fusion are falling apart.
And that's 10 seconds before the dragon is up. They can push this wave out, start getting this turret, start working towards more gold for their team off of those kills, and then a dragon right after.
So Nien and Gleeb forced to rotate back to the mid lane, but it's not going to be anywhere that Coast were interested in being. Instead, they walk right for that dragon. It's going to be a pretty secure grab here. There should be no issues whatsoever for Team Coast. Gleeb gets hooked in. Life is pain. Down he goes. Equalizer comes in. That actually could theoretically steal Dragon. That's not the case, though. Good last hitting by Mash. Another kill picked up. And Dragon number 2 for Team Coast.
And just the way that they positioned themselves around this fight and just kind of went back and forth and then engaged, that's that whole thing that I always talk about. Like, they picked off Nintendude. No smite anywhere near it. And they played that perfectly off of the 2 kills they got.
Yeah, absolutely great stuff. So Team Coast looking to secure their LCS spot with this game. They were down 0-2 in the series. They held on. They thought of what they needed to do differently. They found those answers. Turret gets answered back. Fusion, again, gold is close. It's only the
still a very
Dragons
close game.
Making this
it's
different.
A very close game. It could still be Fusion's game in like just the drop of a hat.
Sure.
It takes so little to just disrupt the flow of this game. Cris, though, 105. Still 100% kill participation. He is hanging around this area. And here comes Sheep.
Looks like they won't stay for the red buff. Fusion, they are honestly very hesitant in this game. They're very, very afraid. You're seeing them go for these invades, which is to their credit, but if they smell any resistance, they immediately back out. And Coast, honestly, more willing to take risks, and I think that's actually paying off for them.
Yeah, and they're kind of going back to their just method of operation here on Fusion. Nien, 208 farm. Highest farm in the game by about 30. And they're just funneling that onto him. They're trying to get him ahead so that he can carry on that Corki, but I don't know if he's going to be able to. The way that this game is set up, Cris is having a very good game.
Cris is. The good thing, though, is you've got actually really good tools for peeling back an Irelia. This is one of the best comps for keeping an AD carry safe against her. The Black Shield can never be broken by that champion. In fact, the only guy who can help that Black Shield get broken is Jesiz, who maybe makes it happen. We'll have to see over time. But you've got two different knockbacks in Lucian and Syndra. So I think Nien is set up to carry in this game. I think he will have a decent shot at it. But it just depends how these team fights pan out. So far, farm's coming in to everyone who needs it. And I don't really know who's just going to win an outright 5v5 in good positioning.
Mash is going for that Youmuu's Ghostblade build on Lucian this game. For himself, just for the extra mobility and the early armor penetration.
I wonder why, actually. He was doing Shiv earlier in this series.
Well, I think it's just for the extra burst of mobility in the mid-game. Look at this MakNooN. No flash.
Nearly going down. You can see what kind of damage Cris can do to him during the W. The ulti comes in. Oh, the tower shield saves MakNoon's life. He didn't even see it coming. He wasn't watching.
Wow.
Forced to run away.
The tier 2 turret doing a lot of work for him, but look at this, the tier 1. Not doing as much, it's very squishy, but Jesiz.
Overextended Jesiz. Nintendo dodges a couple of bombs there. Jesiz forced to flash. Now here comes Cris. Cris has no ulti. In comes Nien. Jesiz pops the barrier. Will it be enough? 2 hits to go. One more. Gets the knockup back on Cris. Buys some time. Nintendude not quite going down. Flashed away, but into the minefield he goes down. Meanwhile, Equalizer trying to make the stuff work, but no, this is not going too great. But here comes the rest of Fusion. Nien is going to beat up Impaler. Oh, he dodges the rocket. There's the Dragon. He stays safe. Wow, 3 kills for 2. This did go well. Oh no, Cris trades back and forth. Make that 4 kills to 3. That went Fusion's way.
Cris just one of those buffs off the field, immediately trading his life for Nien. Thought he had the stun, but it was just enough damage, a phosphorus bomb in midair. Jesiz, he runs away from this fight for long enough, and then he actually loops around. It's good communication here to not just keep running, but to try and kite back towards Cris. And I think that's fantastic. But here's the thing, is there was this huge fight going on at the bottom half where Mash ends up getting obliterated.
What an equalizer.
Yeah, exactly. That equalizer was so on point. But the fact that they got Mash off the field and Sheep, when they've been having a pretty good game themselves, as well as Cris, who got kicked back, and it's just a lot of things there went really right for Fusion because they played it correctly and they gathered on the teleport and they just kind of reinforced Nien. Nien was like, I'm gonna go get Jesiz. Everybody better follow me.
And hey, it worked out pretty nicely. So Fusion going for, finally again, for these sort of more hectic mid-game fights, and you saw it work out. Like the stuff MakNooN got to do there by, to be honest, getting caught. This is what's been happening to MakNooN. Every single game, he's getting picked on or he's out of position and bad things happen to him. But when he's on Rumble, he can press R and at least salvage something out of this. That was not happening on Maokai, that was not happening on Lissandra. I'm glad for the Fusion that they first picked this. But Coast have found such great power in Cris to beat him up.
And Cris is actually prioritizing magic resistance here against the Syndra and the Rumble.
And the Corki.
And the Corki. Is very, very good by him.
And this is why I like Nien's item build, by the way. It's just talking about the different styles of Corki. I had a second, I think, always, but Xerxes over Sword Shoes because he's already in a double AP comp. So you're already going to see the early Aegis, the early Hex Drinkers, stuff like that.
He got spotted up in this top lane. All these pink wards so on Coast's side. Coast just almost...
Oh, he caught it. Wow. Almost, he sensed that Cris cleared it.
Almost every member of this squad on Coast has a pink ward down on the map at this moment, or has one in their inventory.
Nice.
They just want to have this kind of safe little line for themselves and make sure that none of their buffs fall into the hands of Fusion, because Fusion can still apply pressure despite being down 2,000 gold or 1,000 gold. It's just still a very, very close game. There's 15 seconds on this dragon. and Rumble ultimate's up, everybody is pretty much in the position to fight. But the flash timers, there aren't as many on Coast at the moment. You have just one. It's just Sheep.
This could be a really good thing then for Team Fusion. They've got 2. Dragon is aggroed. 2 dragons for Coast means it's actually a pretty quickly dying dragon. You do bonus damage to monsters after all. Steel Temp not going to happen. 3 now. Impaler securing yet another. And oddly, no attempt by Fusion to stuff this. They had every ulti available, and they don't want to stop the dragon attempts.
Yeah, they didn't even position themselves further up because they didn't want to risk getting engaged on by Impaler. But it's just this kind of scared thing that they're doing right now. They're not going in. Nintendo didn't even take a Q or try for the dragon at that point.
Nientendude's item spike is bigger than Mash's. You've got a level 13 Rumble, which is the highest level-wise his damage spike ever goes. And your opposing team is fighting an active dragon. I'm very surprised by Fusion's shot calling here. Coast, however, really stepping up in Game 5.
Yes.
Started out 0-2. Fusion said that they thought they would shatter the mental fortitude of Coast by winning Game 1. Not the case. Perfect play so far, strategically, I think, from Coast.
And here's the thing is, they don't get rewarded in terms of like a ton of gold for that strategic play anymore because like the dragon isn't worth anything. Like you just add on 3 dragons worth of gold to Coast's team and you would imagine what they'd be like in 4.19 right now.
Right. A month ago this would be a 5,000 gold lead.
Yes.
Which is significant for 26 minutes.
But right now, it's even in gold because of those dragons, but they do have this movement speed, they do have this extra just gold efficiency, or I guess combat stats that kind of add up, and they've stopped the one dragon from falling into Fusion's hands, which is probably the biggest part of taking all these dragons.
It's absolutely great choices and great play here. Nientendude, though, still able to get his farm, 256 minutes. He's always able to kind of hit that 10 per minute mark.
Yeah, every game, because they just funnel a lot into him. And you know, all those things being said about how well Coast is playing this game, Fusion, they're still leaving it gold. This is still a game that could be anybody's. They're even in towers. Like, it is really close.
It's interesting because Fusion is aggressive in posture, but not in action.
Cris is bottom.
Looking for the attempt. Jesiz gets found. Ducky's away. Nintendude gonna go for the kick on back. He's gonna find it. The flash engage from Gleeb. There's the equalizer as well. Nintendude will go down. That is 1 for 0 so far, but Sheep will fall down to a rocket. Jesiz versus Nientendude on the bottom side as well. Gleeb Larbu finds that kill onto Jesiz, and that is 2 for 2 so far. Now is Fusion gonna stay or are they gonna go? Cris pretty low, and actually no mana on Impaler. MakNooN does have spells available. HuHi, nice 2-man stun. Nien could reinforce this fight, but Fusion don't want it.
It was Mash coming in from the side that gave him that little extra burst of damage that they needed to turn that fight around, because it looked like it was going to be in Fusion's favor, except for the missed binding. And the fact that Jesiz arrived at not the best point. He ended up a little too far because he was able to get away immediately after, and the fact that he rushed Zhonya's. Bought him that extra time on Ziggs to just stay alive and allow his team to reinforce him.
And that worked pretty nicely. So, just a 2 for 2 engagement overall. Fusion still looking to play into the enemy jungle. Sheep's got to be a bit careful. He is. No stun from HuHi. Dragon off the field.
That is the teleport from Cris, though. MakNooN still has his available, as well as his flash.
Thing is, I don't know if that means much. No. Because MakNooN just outright loses the 1v1 to Cris. And so it's not like he can split push and use his teleport advantage and like get out of the lane because he'll die during the teleport channel, basically.
Yeah. That's the thing is, he's getting bullied around by Cris a lot, and Cris has prioritized magic resistance so that none of that happens. Nintendo takes this, it's a great idea. But look at that, he kicks him.
Wow, he goes past the wall. Gleeb didn't expect that.
Little extra oomph on that kick there. So Nintendo really put his thighs into that one, and it's like, man, working out my quads a lot. Went a little too far. And then Mash comes in from the side. That is what the team fight was waiting for, was Mash to get back into this action. Because Cris TP'd on the right side, and he was able to reinforce and just get HuHi from being just this huge threat on the side.
And thankfully for Mash, actually, Gleeb with a single auto attack secured the kill onto Jesiz, grabbed the blue buff. Mash immediately killed him afterwards, and then Mash had blue buff instead of Nientendude having blue buff during that fight. Equalizer comes across, though. 1 kill picked up for Mash. He's forced to kite away. Sheep will trade his life, though. 1 for 1, and Impaler's in a bad spot now. Gonna jump the wall pretty safely, but in comes everyone else from Fusion. They will pick that kill up, And that's actually another kill on the side from MakNooN. He actually picked up MASH. 3-1 here. Nintendo goes in, finds Jesiz. There's no kick, though, so he's only got some slows here. Will he keep going? Nice ducky. He's fine, I think.
There's the movement speed and the harpoons. He has to dodge all of these.
The rest of the team needs to push mid, though. MakNooN's pretty close to dying, though. Only a few more spells. Jesiz would get this. Jesiz threw a ward.
How are Jesiz's flipper feet?
Thing is, they're buying some time, but I'm not sure what this team is going to acquire for this, though. Good dodge skill shots, just out of mana. I don't think he can win this fight anymore. MakNooN's got to be careful. Maybe he will. Zhonya's, that'll give him some more time to regenerate mana. A couple of spells, they could get this. There's the Q. Jesiz taking even more damage, and that will go to MakNooN. Well kited, but here comes Cris. Nien tosses here, though. This is actually kind of tenuous for Cris. He might have overstayed his welcome. No one's there to help him, but he runs really fast. Nien goes in. Good stun. There's the Q. Nintendo can slow him down. Doesn't chase for it.
Ooh, just back and forth between those harpoons. Sheep was on the side. He would have had enough time to throw a lantern at that point.
Yeah. Cris was not going to die. They didn't know Sheep was there, but they could have guessed it by how long the chase was going. And Fusion are slowly but surely finding themselves some kills. They have a gold lead now.
And a big part of this is the fact that MASH from MakNooN got taken out here. That equalizer just chunking them down, and then he goes off to the side, and it's like flash right on top of you. And he just burns him down, and then it ends up being a fight that has way less numbers in it than you last saw when watching it from the bottom side, where the action was actually happening.
Yeah.
Fourth dragon could possibly go over to Coast. Fusion, they want to contest this. They want their first dragon.
Can they do it? 800 health. Fourth dragon comes in, but a good equalizer. Can they do anything about this, though? The team kites back off of that. Ziggs ulti spent. Out goes Impaler. Nintendo does not chase that, but will they find anything for this, or will it be a clean dragon take? MASH kiting away in the sides with his Youmu's, gets slowed pretty heavily.
They have to get out of there. They have that extra movement speed from the third dragon, so they do have that little extra help.
Yeah. And again, you just see the hesitation, though, of Fusion. Like, if this were reversed, Coast would have picked up 2 kills there, probably. We saw it time and again. Fusion would go for a dragon, they'd get it, and then Coast would clean up 2 kills. Fusion has seen Coast take dragons in front of them 3 times now, and just doesn't go in for it.
And that's got to be very demoralizing, because they just keep getting this little advantage that just adds up over time, and then has this big spike. The 5th dragon just is absolutely insane, doubling the buffs and giving you true damage.
So at 38 minutes into the game, I think something very big will be decided. 5 dragon for Coast is a massive spike that I think Fusion won't be able to easily overcome without significant outplay. Or it's finally Fusion getting that attack damage buff, and they've already been doing well in fights without it. So imagine how well they do when they get this kind of stuff going in. I think it's a big swing in 5.5 minutes when that dragon respawns.
And here's the thing too, is that could bait Coast into a bad dragon fight. We've seen it time and time again where people are like, we gotta get that 5th dragon. Yeah. So they go to the dragon, and then they get the dragon, and then they lose the team fight right after, and they get pushed in on.
Yeah. Well, definitely concerns, something to think about.
It baits you.
Well, but so far they've done well under pressure. These are all former LCS pros. They've been through, for most of them, entire seasons of high-pressure games and having to make split decisions where that's the only game that matters. It's a best of 1. You don't get a second chance.
This is it for both these teams. To set what they do for the next couple of months.
Yeah, roughly.
Possibly the next year.
That's true. We know they'll be competing, but it depends what league they'll be competing in. LCS spot on the line to join Curse Academy as the new guys on the block. We have one of the tensest game 5s I've seen in quite a while.
Like Nien Tanso, 6-1 and 4, highest CS in the game. This guy consistently delivers on that fact that he will always have really high CS. Look at this, the Baron bait.
There's no easy way to get that. Yeah, the flag on down. Of course, they know the Scuttler's right there, so it will not see Baron itself, but it does see you walk around it.
Remember when I was talking about how these AD carries can't both have a good game? Well, it's happening.
They're both having a good game.
They're both having a good game. Yep. They're both really big threats on their team. They both need to be prioritized in these team fights, but there's also a ton of damage from the other members of these teams who have had really good games. But MakNooN, he's hitting his spikes, his thresholds on Rumble. Like, you just need the Zhonyas, you need the Haunting guys, but he's 100 CS down over Cris, who has a Banshee's Veil, all of this magic resistance, and some damage for him.
Stun there onto Impaler. Can Sheep find a binding onto his face? The flash. Oh, it does catch Sheep. In goes Gleeb, but his ulti actually missed. He's going to be forced to Zonya soon. Ziggs ulti comes and hits two. Nintendude in a bad spot's got to jump away. He will survive. His kick is still up, but he's almost dead. And now comes the re-engage on the bot side. Mash takes the equalizer. Out he goes, barely survives it. Nintendude's one hit from dead. Can he get away? No, he cannot. Impaler finds it. Despite the attempted flash, and now MakNooN's in a bad spot, 2 for nothing.
Nien is
Coast
2.
in a good spot, Nien gets stunned up. Cris, oh my god, the damage output, 3 for 0. Gleeb Glarbu puts the exhaust down, but what a battle for Coast.
That ends up being a fantastic fight for Coast. 3 for 0, and they could do the Baron right now. There's no smite available to try and steal this.
Wow, Fusion tried to make it happen. Nintendude never ulted anyone back. Unfortunately, Mash never quite took enough damage. The extra cooldown, the extra magic resist from the Quicksilver Sash, just all that was enough. Mash hides away from Baron, rightly so. They're going to get this one pretty cleanly, though. And it's 4 dragons and a Baron now for Team Coast.
Yeah, and like the extra movement speed, the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, the cooldown reduction that he has from that item, plus his Ionian Boots, gives him enough to just be very mobile in this fight. He dodges it, and then he just gets out. He didn't do any damage. He's just baiting everybody. There's like 3 people, get Mash, get Mash. Like I said, high priority target of Nien Tanso and Mash in these fights between these two teams, and he used himself as a bait tool. He just ran up and he put everybody in this awful position against Coast, which had just won a fight against Nintendude and just had Impaler chase him. It was a one-on-one chase. So they still had this 4-on-4 going, but they blew a bunch of ultimates, didn't get Mash, and they still tunnel visioned on him to a bad position.
Yeah, the attempted picks just did not quite work. They couldn't quite sync the ults there from Team Fusion. That would have been a dead Mash and likely a forfeited team fight by Coast. You don't want to do too much without your AD carry, especially if he dies without your opponents taking much damage. But in this case, it went exactly the right way for Team Coast. Mash kited it out. He was 1 hit from dead. Summoner Heal and Flash Burn to keep him up. And now with Baron and Dragon in a minute.
He blew like QSS too to like try
QSS after he flashed out in case there was still like a dot on him or something.
Like a slow or a dot.
Yeah, anything. Just press the button, whatever.
Get rid of it.
Yep. Mid lane tier 2 about to go down. That Baron up cannon minion doing plenty here. It's 2 hits from Gone. 1 more shot, maybe 2.
Hero.
Yeah.
It's that hero minion there.
Hero cannon minion takes it down.
20 seconds on Dragon. This will be the 5th Dragon of the game for Coast. If Fusion get it.
I don't think Fusion, like, judging by how they've been playing this game already, why would they contest? They haven't tried to fight Dragons. When they had all 5 up, they weren't fighting Baron, and Rumble was in position.
Exactly. That's like the too little, too late. You should have done this 4 Dragons ago.
Oh, they get a stun on Jesiz. He's actually zoned out to the side. Oh, this could be great.
Oh,
he misses the ducky. He has flash, though. Equalizer's going to separate the team a little bit. Great Lantern, though.
Oh, my God. The fact that he didn't panic flash or barrier there and relied on Sheep, his teammate, the communication there. Whoa, that damage.
Beautiful. That damage hurt, though. This could be a fight. Again, this could be a battle for Fusion. Nintendude could try. Can he go in for this one? He cannot, and Dragon number 5 goes in, plus 2 kills. This could be the game right here, everybody. Fusion in a really bad spot. 3 deaths. 4 deaths. This could be the push for the win. They've got 5 Barons, or 5 Dragons and a Baron buff.
Cris chasing MakNooN down. He's just keeping him from backing. He has so much magic resistance
he is so
and damage.
dead.
He is dead. And they're going to push down the mid. They're going to go for this and hit. There are 20 seconds on Nintendude, and he's just the Lee Sin on this.
And Team Coast might make their way into the LCS. In fact, I should say back into the LCS. All of these players wanted to fight their way back in, and this is the push right now. Turret number 1, turret number 2. They know it. It's going to be over. Team Coast, welcome into the LCS.
You can see them all jumping out of their seats. Sheep, he couldn't contain his excitement. While they were pushing down, he jumped up.
The reverse sweep.
For the 2-0 to start this out for Team Fusion. And then 3 games back to back to back.
Yeah.
Great performances from Mash. Great performances from Impaler. Jesiz was consistent, and Sheep was there. And Cris, he had a great game in that last one.
That was
where
great.
It counted. Top lane pool was really taxed. Nar was off the table. Lissandra, Rumble was picked up. Didn't want to play Maokai into Rumble. Wanted something that could carry more.
Got the 1v1. Crushed in it.
And you can see there.
Fusion came so close, and you said it, right? You start a series 2-0. You start a series 1 game away from advancing. You're like, We could have done it last game. We could have done it last game. We could have done it this game. Oh my god, I can't believe this just happened. The reverse sweep, and this is a bracket, I think, that Coast